It really is a strange situation we're in, isn't it? We've got these devices connecting us to literally everyone, everywhere. But people are reporting feeling more alone, more isolated.
It's a paradox, definitely. And alongside that, you see these rises in anxiety, burnout. It's quite striking.
Yeah, and researchers like Sherry Turkle, who used to be quite positive about online life, well, she's become much more critical now, especially about the impact on, younger people.
That's a really key point.
Yeah.
The connection tools seem to be linked somehow to this widespread unease. And it's not just feelings, is it? There's data suggesting a link between heavy social media use and things like depression, anxiety.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our deep dive today. We're looking at this really interesting intersection, ancient Stoic philosophy and our, well, very modern social media lives. We've got a university thesis digging into this, plus summaries of some Stoic-inspired books.
Right. So the idea is to pull out some core Stoic principles and see if they, shed any light on the challenges we're all facing online. Things like building identity, comparison, FOMO, all that stuff.
Exactly. What can this, ancient wisdom tell us about navigating today's hyper-connected world? That's the mission, really.
Okay, so we're using this old philosophical toolkit on very new problems. The thesis gives us the academic angle, and the summaries offer more, maybe, practical takes.
That's the plan. So let's start with identity. The thesis mentions how we use social media to kind of craft ourselves, right? To build a specific story for others.
Yeah, it's performative, isn't it? Like we're curating this online exhibit of our lives, often the best bits, the highlights.
And while connection is good in theory, the thesis points out there's a psychological toll to constantly managing this curated self.
There definitely seems to be. And it's interesting, the thesis brings up CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right, as a common way we try to tackle these issues today. The core idea being, our thoughts affect our feelings and actions, and we can change those thoughts.
Like Albert Ellis or Aaron Beck's work, foundational stuff for CBT.
Right.
And there's a fascinating overlap there, isn't there? Both CBT and Stoicism focus heavily on how our interpretations, our judgments, shape our emotional reality.
So the thesis asks, how does this online identity building connect to our real-world behavior? And what can Stoicism add to that conversation? Maybe something CBT doesn't quite cover.
It's a great question. Does Stoicism offer a different lens, maybe a deeper one, compared to modern therapy?
Okay, so to even start answering that, we need the basics of Stoicism. What's the goal? Both sources mention eudaimonia.
Right, often translated as flourishing or living well. And for Stoics, the path to that is through virtue.
And they got specific about virtues, didn't they, from Socrates?
Yeah, the four cardinals.
Yeah.
Wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. With wisdom, the ability to know what's truly good or bad being kind of the master virtue.
Then there's this tricky concept, preferred indifference. What's that about?
Well, it's how they handle the real world. Things like health, money, friends. They aren't good in the moral sense, like virtue is. They don't guarantee flourishing.
But they're not bad either.
Exactly. They're indifferent to your moral character, but naturally preferred. We'd rather be healthy than sick, right? The key is how you use them. You use wealth virtuously or you don't. It's different from, say, cynics who rejected all externals.
All right, so getting 1,000 likes is a preferred indifferent. It feels nice, but it doesn't make you a good person or guarantee inner peace.
Precisely. Focusing on the quality of your actions or content, that's closer to the Stoic ideal.
Got it. And then apatheia. I always thought that meant being, totally emotionless, a robot.
Yeah, common misconception. The thesis clarifies it's not about no feelings, but freedom from apathy, the negative, destructive emotions, passions, disturbances, suffering, anger, crippling fear, envy, that kind of thing.
So it's about not being ruled by those negative emotions, like seeing a nasty comment online and not letting it ruin your day or provoke a huge reaction.
Exactly that. Maintaining your inner equilibrium, your rational judgment, despite external provocations.
Okay, that makes much more sense. So how does this apply to, say, social comparison, seeing everyone's perfect lives online and feeling envious?
Ah, yes. A very modern problem with ancient roots in our thinking. The thesis really digs into this. Social media is basically a highlight reel, right? Highly selective.
Constantly comparing our behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's curated feed.
And envy pops up, the Stoic view. That envy comes from faulty judgment, judging their curated life as genuinely better or more valuable, and feeling you lack something essential because you don't have that.
So what would a Stoic teacher advise?
Well, the thesis suggests a few things. First, consider the price. Epictetus had this analogy about lettuce. If someone pays more, they haven't won, they've just spent more. What did that person online pay for that perfect shot or status? Time. Authenticity. Maybe a lot of stress.
Reframing it. Looking beyond the shiny surface.
Exactly. Second, understand the platform itself. The thesis is clear. These are ad companies. Their goal is engagement. The algorithm shows you things to keep you looking, to make you react, maybe even feel a bit inadequate, so you strive for more. Or buy something.
It's designed to hook us, not necessarily reflect reality. And the like button evolving to spark more interaction, not just appreciation.
Right. It's all about maximizing your time on site. Which is ironic, as the thesis also mentions, our attention spans might actually be shrinking, partly because of this constant digital barrage.
Yeah, a paradox. The
Yeah.
platforms want more of our time, but they might be making us less capable of giving sustained attention. Understanding that mechanism, that could take some of the sting out of the comparison, couldn't it?
Definitely.
Ah.
Knowing you're seeing engineered content, not just spontaneous reality, helps create distance.
Okay, let's shift to something tougher. Negative comments, judgments, even cyberbullying. How does Stoicism help there?
The core idea, again, is about judgment. The thesis stresses this. It's not the comment itself that hurts. It's our judgment that the comment is insulting, or that the person shouldn't have said it.
So the pain comes from our interpretation.
Largely, yes. The Stoic advice is to try and see things factually first. Someone wrote these words, full stop, before layering on, this is outrageous, this is an attack.
Epictetus said something about appearances, right? Reminding yourself it's just an appearance.
Exactly. Cultivate that habit. This is an appearance, not necessarily the thing itself. It creates a buffer, a moment to choose your response rather than just react.
But what about cyberbullying? I mean, the intent is malicious. The thesis acknowledges that.
It does, and Stoics wouldn't deny the intent is harmful, but they'd still argue your emotional response is within your sphere of control. Epictetus' quote is powerful here. Remember that not he who gives ill language or a blow insults, but the principle which represents these things is insulting.
So it's my belief that I've been insulted that causes the suffering. The idea that they were wrong to do it.
That's the Stoic perspective. You can acknowledge their intent was bad, factually, but internalizing it, feeling diminished by it, letting it disrupt your peace, that's giving assent to the idea that their opinion holds power over your inner state. And ultimately, their opinions and actions are outside your control.
That's hard to do, but powerful if you can manage it. Okay, let's talk FOMO. Fear of missing out. Social media seems purpose-built to trigger that.
Oh, absolutely. The thesis explores how it pulls us out of the present moment. FOMO is that anxiety, isn't it? That feeling everyone else is doing cooler stuff and you're not there, driven by this need to stay constantly connected.
Like you have to keep checking just in case.
And the thesis points to this idea of time scarcity feeding it. We feel pressure. Am I using my limited time right? Because we see endless possibilities online.
And the platforms just flood us with curated snippets of other people's best lives.
Constantly. And this social media logic, as the thesis calls it, starts to shape how we even experience our own lives. You're at a concert, but are you really there? Or are you busy recording it for Instagram later?
Reducing the present to content for the future, for likes.
Yeah, it becomes a future past before it's even fully happened. And think about the time suck the thesis mentions. Averages over 2 hours a day on social media for many. A lot of that is watching other people's curated experiences.
So while worrying about missing out there, we're actually missing out here in our own lives.
That's the potential irony, yes. Which leads us nicely into some constructive principles. The summary of focus on what matters really hits this idea that true happiness comes from inside, from mental stability.
Right. It talks about Stoic wisdom as like a shield for the mind against external chaos, leading to tranquility. Very appealing in our noisy world.
And the cornerstone principle from Epictetus again is that control distinction. What's in my control, what's not.
Like the traffic jam example. Can't control the traffic, but you can control whether you fume about it or, I don't know, listen to this deep dive.
Exactly. It directs your energy where it actually has an effect on your own thoughts and choices.
That feels empowering.
It is. And the summary highlights managing thoughts, reframing narratives, seeing challenges not just as bad things, but as opportunities. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about that, finding meaning in how you choose to respond.
So wisdom isn't just abstract knowledge. It's a practical path to happiness, regardless of what's happening outside.
That's the idea. And the summary mentions minimalism too, finding joy in what you are, your inner resources, not just what you have. Kind of countercultural.
Especially online, where it's all about showing off possessions or experiences.
Right. And the book emphasizes steady effort over burnout-inducing excess. Plus, crucially, not relying on external validation, likes, comments, followers for your self-worth. Living by your own rational principles.
Which directly tackles the social media comparison trap. Okay, let's bring in some more modern applications. Guerin's article, Seneca's smartphone.
Guerin connects Stoicism to Viktor Frankl, his idea that you can always choose your attitude, even in the absolute worst circumstances. That's pure Stoicism in action.
Incredible resilience. The article also mentions leaders using it, like Washington or General Mattis carrying Aurelius.
Shows its enduring practical value, doesn't it? And William B. Irvine's work, mentioned in the article, is all about making Stoicism accessible for us now. Practical techniques, some even backed by modern psychology.
Like finding humor in stressful situations.
Yeah, the article links that Stoic idea to research showing humor helps us cope better. Sometimes you just have to laugh at the absurdity, right? Even online drama.
Definitely. The article even mentions fairy tales teaching kids about controlling interpretations, especially fear. These ideas are everywhere if you look.
They really are. Now, Seneca's smartphone tackles digital distraction head-on. Reeves uses Seneca's phrase, love of bustle, that feeling of needing to be busy doing something, and equates it to our restlessness of a hunted mind online, constantly clicking, scrolling.
Sounds familiar. The symptoms he lists, compulsive surfing, phone use during family time, getting stressed by news feeds.
Yeah, pretty common experiences, unfortunately.
Why?
And Seneca's advice applied today. Be intentional. Avoid things that just make you angry or agitated online. Seek out high-quality stuff that actually makes you better.
So conscious curation, not just passive consumption. Filter your digital diet.
Exactly. Use technology purposefully. Resist that endless chase for the next little dopamine hit on your phone. Seneca said, nature's wants are slight. The demands of opinion are boundless. Be content with the present, with enough. Don't let the boundless demands of the online world dictate your peace.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, it really feels like these, 2,000-year-old ideas from Stoicism are incredibly relevant today, especially for dealing with social media.
They really are. Focusing on inner virtue, managing our judgments, understanding where validation really comes from, trying to be more present. These offer powerful tools for mental resilience in our digital age.
So a final thought for you listening. Think about which of these Stoic ideas really clicked for you. Which one felt most relevant to your experience online?
Maybe it's questioning that pang of envy when you see a perfect post, or focusing on what you control when FOMO hits, or perhaps just trying to use your phone a bit more deliberately.
Yeah, consider this. How might consciously trying out just one of these principles, really examining your judgments or focusing on your control or being more intentional with tech, how might that shift things for you? Could it lead to a bit more calm, more resilience in this often overwhelming digital landscape?
It's definitely worth exploring. And of course, we encourage you to check out the sources we discussed today if you want to dive even deeper into Stoicism and its modern applications.